This is the Art Talk series where we talk about everything art related. This will be a different video compared to all of my other ones. The goal for this Art Talk series is for anybody who is an artist or feel they are a part of the art community to just talk about different topics surrounding it, from art topics that range from fan art to AI and everything in between. Today's topic is about realistic or academic art versus stylized art. Whether it be cartoon or anime, everything in that category. I picked this to be the first Art Talk series because this is a fundamental question that a lot of artists, especially beginners, struggle with. Should we learn to draw realistically first and master the human form, anatomy, and perspective and all that jazz? Or should we jump into more stylized art where creativity and expression often take precedence over the technical accuracy? This question comes up time and time again, and I've personally struggled with it too. As someone who deeply loves art and has spent years practicing and staring and appreciating it, I've seen both sides of the debate. I'll be able to watch someone draw something super realistic for 25 hours and fall in love with it. And I can also appreciate someone doing a very caricature drawing within 5 minutes. And I'm equally inspired by the incredible creativities of both the artists. But after talking to many artists, many of them doing the things that I want to do, and reflecting on my own journey, here's my opinion on it. Quick story time. Before the beginning of this year, if you were to look at my Instagram, you'd see I never really finished anything. It was always just ideas, but never taken any further. They didn't really say anything other than I'm just a quick sketch. So when I asked my mentor, what do I have to do to take that next step? He emphasized the importance of saying something and how the old masters like Bouguereau or Alphonse Mucha or Leyendecker or Norman Rockwell were worth taking a look at, because I was so fixated on purely stylized work in comic book artists like George Jimenez, Dak Ruan, Ben Oliver, and Fabrizio Di Tommaso that I couldn't completely appreciate any other art. It wasn't until I saw the importance of academic art that I finally was able to accept that although we don't have to be amazing at it, I truly feel that it's worth taking a chance to look at art that might be completely out of our ballpark. The goal really isn't to master realism to perfection. In fact, none of the people that I've talked to about this who are doing the things that I want to do, the master artists if you want to say, none of them said that you need to be perfect at drawing realistically. Instead, they just all emphasize the importance of competence in it. We need to understand realism well enough to use it as a tool and a foundation. But beyond that, what really matters is how we use those skills to tell our own stories and express our ideas and create work that resonates with people. Think of it like learning the rules of a game. We need to know the rules of the game well enough to play it, but once we're competent at it, we can bend the rules or even break the rules to create something unique. This is where stylized art comes in. So learning realism gives us the technical skills to understand structure, light, shadow, anatomy, and all that. But once you've got that foundation, stylization allows us to push the boundaries. We can exaggerate proportions, simplify shapes, and add our own creative flair. And it's not just about abandoning realism entirely. It's about knowing when to use it and when to depart from it. Since I'm still in the learning stages of this journey, I feel like it's best to show works from different artists with completely different appreciations for art, but both express in a way that makes me want to stare in awe for a few hours at what they've created. So first up, we've got an artist by the name of Dak Ruan. Really hope I'm not saying his name wrong. His work I admire because not only is it awesome, but you can see the way he's thinking in every single piece he creates. The same can be said for all of the other artists that I'm going to name. You can tell that he wants us to look all over the image and find something worth looking at. Yet, it never feels too loud. Take this image for instance. There are so many characters on the page, yet the first thing I look at is Spider-Man, because he's the main point of the image. The moment my eyes go away from Spidey, I see the claw coming at us, which then leads me to look at Vulture, then Mysterio, then all the other characters, until I inevitably end up looping back to Spider-Man. And I can tell this wasn't an accident. He purposely made us look at the main point first, then helped guide us to everything else on the image. It's not super realistic in the slightest. It's extremely stylized, but everything from the shapes he's using to the colors he picks, they all work together to create a dynamic image. Now, I can take this same principle and look at an artist like Steve Huston, whose beautiful work has that academic knowledge to it, but it still says something that stands out in the crowd. Take this image for instance. Even though there's not multiple characters on the page, he's still guiding our eyes. The first thing I looked at was all the fun he had with the shadow shapes and the rhythm of the pose to the silhouette. I can tell that's the area he wanted me to focus on because everything inside that shadow barely has detail. Even the hair is chaotic, but it works so well against the structure that the silhouette provides. Two very different artists, yet the same principle applies. For me, the two go hand in hand. I believe that learning academic, realistic drawing is crucial, especially for the kinds of stories that I want to tell. It gives me the confidence to approach my art with a solid foundation, but at the same time, I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't want one-for-one copy of an image. I just want to be good enough to communicate my ideas effectively, whether it's through a realistic medium or a stylized art. My views may change as I grow as an artist, but for now, this balance between realism and stylization is what resonates with me. So what do you guys think? Should we prioritize learning to draw realistically, or is stylization just as important? Let's have that conversation about it. I'm excited to hear your thoughts, and I hope this Art Talk series sparks some interesting discussions within the community. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Art Talk. That was a conversation I've been dying to talk about, and I'm really excited to have that conversation either in the comment section or in my Discord. And I do want to actually take a time to talk about my Discord server. I am currently trying to build a community of people, of artists who just need a place to go to share their work and not feel like they are competing or being judged. Just that safe space to go, to just share your words, not even search for likes or anything, but just to put something you've created out there. When I started drawing, I didn't have anyone to draw with. So it was always just me. So it was always just me and my work. It built a sense of love for what I created that almost created an ego and sensitivity to critique. But once I finally found someone to draw with, it was hard to just enjoy the act of drawing with this person because the whole time I was trying to be better than this person instead of appreciating what we were able to do together, and that was create. And once that ego went away, I was able to appreciate not only his work, but everyone else's work around me, everyone else's creativity. This Discord channel was created purely to take that ego and sensitivity out of ourselves and just learn to create without any of that external pressure. If you're an artist who wants to join a community in which you can just share your work and even just talk about mental health as it pertains to art, join the Discord and help build a community of like-minded artists. If you're having that feeling that you're too good or better than anyone, then don't join the Discord. I don't need people like you in there. It's just for the people who are willing to let go of that egotistical drive that we artists tend to have and we don't want to admit or talk about. I'm willing to admit that I've had it for a long time, and it's been so invigorating to finally let that go and just be able to appreciate things that other people create. We've already got a group of people that love art just for the love of it and nothing else. And as someone who never really fit in, being able to finally find like-minded individuals is an amazing feeling. This Discord will be in the link below. All right, let's start talking about some fun stuff. If you take a look at the screen, you'll see I have 3 different variations of the figure. What I like to do whenever I'm doing any figure drawing is try to simplify it as easy as I can. What do I mean by that? I want everything to look like the shape that it represents. I want the rib cage to look like an egg. I want the pelvis to look like a box. I want the legs to look like tubes, arms to look like tubes, the face. Like, I want all of these things to look like the shape it represents. If I'm able to capture that, then I can add on all of the anatomy and hair and all that extra stuff that we like to add on. But the moment that I start drawing and I think about anatomy first, or, the limbs first, or think of it in any way than what it simply is, that's when I have to stop and take a step back and be like, whoa, what am I really trying to do? Because I can start getting overwhelmed if I'm like, all right, the rib cage does this, and then there's a muscle here, and then this muscle does that, and that's too much to handle. The human brain doesn't want to handle all that stuff. But the more simple that I can make it, the more easy it is to comprehend. So instead of me saying, ooh, I want to draw this arm, if you can see the arm holding the stick, you can see that I simplified it as a tube, and then at the elbow, I boxed it out. So I wasn't thinking, all right, there's the ulna and the olecranon and all this extra stuff. Like, no, I was thinking, oh, it's a box here. It turns up like a box. And so I'll shade it in that way. And I kind of got the hand wrong. I definitely got the hand wrong. But you'll be able to see that whenever I get confused on something along those lines, I'll just trace it. And not trace it and then put it on the image. No, I'll trace it, understand the most simple shape that I can put it into, and then recreate it within the work that I've created itself. Another thing you'll see me doing is separating the lights from the dark. This is so important when trying to make a geometric form stand out. I'm not trying to make this look realistic at all. I don't care if it looks realistic or not. I just want it to feel three-dimensional. The moment it starts feeling three-dimensional, I know that I'm doing something right. Because if I try to focus on realism, then I'm just recreating something that the image has already done. And I don't really want to do that. I just want to say the same thing that it's saying, but with my 2 cents, if that makes any sense to you guys. So you'll even see with the hair, I started off with like almost a circle. And then once I finally felt confident about the shape that I had, I started carving into it and putting in some lights in there and pushing out some darks. And because of that, it started to look more like hair instead of just a blocked out shape. Even for the legs, where I first started off shading it as a tube, and then I started pushing in the light into the dark and then carving into that shadow shape. And the moment I start separating that, after I push the light in, I separate it. And in doing so, it shows the form that I'm trying to represent. The thing is though, this took me about, I want to say maybe 15 to 18 hours. And the whole time I'm figuring it out as I go. I don't know what shape I want to make it first. I have to figure that out. That's what the line work is there for. Whenever you're doing a line drawing, that's what the questions you have to answer become. It's, what shape can I simplify this into? And then when I start shading, how can I make this shape feel three-dimensional? Not, oh, how do I make this look like this? How do I make, this hand look like that hand? There's been multiple times within this image itself where I have to catch myself. Like, if you look at the hand right now, the hand that's holding the stick, I had to catch myself because I was like looking at the image and then trying to replicate what I saw. And that's gonna make it really hard to draw because your brain is doing multiple things at once. It's looking at an image, trying to remember the image, and then trying to put what you saw on the image on a sheet of paper, when all you have to do is look at the image and listen to what the image is saying. The image is saying, this hand looks like a box shape. Okay, so now that I know that, I don't even have to look at the image anymore. I can look at the drawing that I'm creating and make the hand look like a box. That's all I'm thinking about. All I want to do is make a hand look like a box. And the moment that I simplify it down into that, I'm able to understand something much more simple, and I'm able to replicate that instead of doing multiple things at once. Our brain was not meant to be doing that, and it makes drawing a lot harder when we have to focus on so many things at once. I don't want to focus on so many things at once. I want to focus on one thing at a time and get it from there. So here you'll see me drawing the hands, different hands, because I needed some type of confidence. I was struggling with the hands. I didn't realize what I was doing wrong at the moment, so I started struggling with the hand, and I needed to draw some other hands just to see, hey, do I need to like brush up on my hand drawing anatomy and learning how to draw hands? And I did. And it's never a bad time to take a break from your drawing. It's never bad to take a break from the drawing and take a step back and reintroduce what you're trying to say in a different way. I feel like that's actually the most important part of drawing if you're doing something that you're not completely confident in. And here I'm just creating different things, just trying out different ideas. I had an idea, I had this idea, I had that idea, and I just wanted to try different things. This was really just a study. I'm not done with it because I do have to do the feet, the legs, but I do have to do the legs and the feet. But, you know, I realized that that's probably something that I'm gonna do later on in life, and I had other things that I wanted to focus on, but the gist of what I was saying was there. So here you'll see that this is what I meant by simplifying it down into a box, simplifying it down into the biggest shape that I can find, and then replicating it within the drawing. Even here, I'll be able to say that I was overdoing it. I was overthinking it. Yes, I had the biggest shape, but I started adding all these fingers and all these extra details that didn't really need to be added. Like if you look at the hands that I'm drawing, I started adding all these extra curricular ideas when all I really had to say was, hey, this is a box. This is where the plane turns. This is where the plane turns again. How do I say that? How does light react to a plane change that looks like this? Simple. That is so much more simple than saying, all right, the hand is here, a vein is here, a knuckle is here, a tendon is here. Like that is so much to comprehend that it kind of makes drawing overwhelming. But when you're able to simplify it down into its biggest idea, the biggest shape that you can, it becomes a lot more simple. And you'll see, I've tried multiple times to get this hand correct. I'm like, all right, what do I do here? What do I do here? What do I do here? I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do it. And I honestly think if I look back on it now, I was overthinking it. Like here I'm drawing like a hand and like a three, like all four shortened and stuff like that. Like I didn't have to do that. All I had to really do was, I kind of had the idea. I think I just started overthinking it because I was in my head. I was like, oh, I want the fingers to show. I want this, that, and the third. But at that time, I didn't realize what I was trying to say. I just wanted to say what the image was saying. I wasn't saying what I wanted to say. I didn't know how I wanted to express to the viewer my opinion or my idea on what I was creating. I really hope that makes sense because I'm saying this now and it makes so much sense, but I feel like a year ago or 2 years ago, if I were to be saying these things, I'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense. But now looking back and now looking and getting a fresher eye with new experiences, I'm able to see these different things in a different way. And it's so much more fun to draw this way because now you're not in a mindset where you're constantly trying to figure out anatomy, constantly trying to figure out the little details, the smaller details. Now you're in a state where it's, okay, I can draw a box, I can draw a tube, I can draw a triangle, and I can turn that into space, I can shade that. If I can do that, because I don't want to be a realistic artist. I don't want to create an image one for one. I don't care for that. I don't care to do that. I do find love in that, but I don't care to do that. What I care to do is draw something and have it look like it's three-dimensional. Like it's not really on the page, that it's something that you can tangibly grab, something that you can feel. Now the rest of this is really just me trying out different ideas, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. It failed. I was like, all right, it failed. I don't care. Toss it away. That's the great thing about digital too, is you can try all of these multiple ideas, and if it fails, you just duplicate the image, the drawing that you created, and just throw away everything else that you didn't like. That's why I kind of love digital. It makes it a lot more simple when it comes to recreating something, because if it was traditional, I would have had to restart the whole drawing, and that's not something that I would want to do, because I've already said what I wanted to say, and I don't want to keep having to say it just to say it with an extra twang to it, if that makes any sense. So that's it for this video. I can't wait to talk more in depth about this figure drawing stuff and just drawing in its technical aspects in its entirety. It's going to be such a fun conversation to have. I am so excited to have it. So we'll see you guys on the next one, which we will be talking about that stuff. So see you guys on the next one.